Hello BookTube, this is Weekly Reads. This week has been rather up and down in my reading. This past weekend was filled with fails, as I talked about in a video on Sunday. And the rest of my reading week was filled with manga, and I rather enjoyed a lot of what I read, although I started to feel a sense of burning out towards the end of it. So let's get going. I'm going to start with the April new releases that I got in this week, and then move on to other works that I read. And sorry if it randomly looks like I'm going to be teleporting or transitioning into another plane of being. It is late afternoon, and the window is looking north, but has a good sort of vantage point to the west, and so it's nearing sundown, and so there's a lot of natural light in here, and I will be reflecting the sun at various points. Okay, so I'm going to start with Eden Zero Volume 31 by Hiro Mashima. Eden Zero was Hiro Mashima's most recent series. It has now been superseded by Dead Rock. Eden Zero finished its run late last year, and its final volumes are coming out in English translation this year. There are two left, 32 and 33, which should be coming out in the next few months. Eden Zero is a space opera fantasy about a young man named Shiki who grew up on a planet populated by androids. It was a tourist planet. One day, a young woman named Rebecca and her XxxHolic companion Happy come to the planet to film videos for her B-Cube channel. The androids seemingly malfunction and try to kill Rebecca and Happy, and Shiki rescues them, and the trio flee the planet and decide to become adventurers, searching for the great cosmic goddess figure, Mother. Gradually, Shiki, Rebecca, and Happy form a crew that become as close as family aboard the starship Eden Zero, which was gifted to Shiki by his adoptive android grandfather, Ziggy, the demon lord of the tourist planet. Eventually, Ziggy is resurrected by a corrupted artificial intelligence that acts as the main antagonist for the later part of the series, including a universe hop to a new universe, Universe Zero, where the final arcs of the story take place. This volume is in that final arc, and the final battles are being fought. And Shiki's goal of finding Mother has been reached, and he's faced with a momentous choice. There is a huge amount of spoilers in this volume, being that it is near the end, but it was so good. I really enjoyed this volume, and I'm looking forward to and also dreading the next two volumes because it will be the end of the journey, and I don't want it to end. It's just really enjoyable. So I don't know exactly how much art I can show you without spoiling things. So I'll just give you this. But there is one scene about midway through the arc, through this volume, that is just amazing. Several actually, but there's one that is just really wonderful. Now, where am I going to put you now that I've talked about you? I'll put you over here. Okay. So next I read Gachiakuta Volume 6 by Kei Urana. This is a series about a young man named Rudo who grew up on a habitat above a planet. And the inhabitants of this habitat, the sphere, routinely throw their trash off the side, as well as convicted criminals, to die in the fall. Rudo is convicted of a murder he did not commit and is thrown off the edge, and he manages to survive. There he begins to develop a superpower that is called being a giver. That he has a vital object, a vital instrument that he's attached to that gives him some superpowers. And so after surviving an encounter with a trash beast, a monster formed of trash, Rudo joins a group of givers called the Cleaners, who specialize in fighting trash beasts, on the provision that the Cleaners will help him gather information on how to get back to the sphere so that he can enact bloody vengeance. And he's not the only one who would like to enact bloody things to the people of the sphere. They are not very popular on the ground. So the volume begins with wrapping up the arc from the previous volume, where Rudo and a group of cleaners that have become his friends, Injin, I'm blanking on their names. Injin, Zanka, and Rio go to meet this young woman who claims to have seen being able to cross between the ground and the sphere. However, that encounter turned violent until she was defeated, and now she's telling them her story. And this leads eventually to a confrontation between Rudo's group and outlaws called Raiders, and ends with the beginnings of one-on-one fights. But I quite like this series. The artwork is really, really interesting. And really fun. I quite like this volume. Oh yeah, and this chapter here opens very funny. It's about opens with a dapper man at a bar commenting on everything, and then he sort of notices the group of cleaners, and he says that basically all of them have mean looks in their eyes. And then Rudo's eyes are the meanest he's ever seen. Which makes sense. He is at times a trip. And like that it's so really good. I love the artwork in this series. That is just really good. Next up is Snowball Earth, Volume 5 by Yuhiro Tsujitsugu. So this is the story of a young man named Tetsuo who piloted a android called Yukio that defended Earth against invasions of kaiju, giant space monsters. One day, Tetsuo and Yukio and a battalion of starships head off to space to fight these kaiju. and are defeated. And it takes 10 years for Tetsuo in suspended animation to return to Earth. In that time, Earth has become frozen over, and kaiju have successfully invaded the planet, and there are few human survivors. Tetsuo meets a group of these survivors and becomes one of their protectors. This volume begins with a rogue faction of this group that Tetsuo was part of being defeated. And they're looking for, and much of this arc is about, or this volume is about Tetsuo and these people looking for a new base, a new home, because their home is no longer secure. And it's quite good. I really enjoyed it. Although of the 4 volumes I read, this one would be ranked number 4, even though I still quite like it. And it ends in a cliffhanger. So, the last of the 4 volumes I got this week is Record of Ragnarok Volume 14 by Azychika, Shinya Umemura, and Takumi Fukui. So, Record of Ragnarok is a series that features eventually 13 battles between gods and human warriors. So the gods in Parliament, Congress, have decided unanimously to eradicate humanity for their various sins and faults. However, the Valkyrie Brunhilde objects and invokes a Ragnarok contest clause, where the gods have to give humanity one final chance to stave off extermination by winning the majority of 13 contests between gods and human warriors called the Einherjar. So by this point in the series, the score is tied. The humans have won 3 matches, and the gods have won 3 matches. And so the gods, feeling a little desperate, call in Hades, who's eager to gain vengeance for the defeat of his brother Poseidon in the 3rd round. And on the human side, the champion is Qin Shi Huangdi, the first emperor of China, and who boy is Qin Shi Huangdi a character. He is something else. And completely overshadows Hades in this. But again, much like with Gachiakuta, I really love the artwork. It is so good. Let's go get a picture of Qin Shi Huangdi. Not that one. That one is a little too suggestive. No, where is one? Okay. Here's a good one. I love the character designs. I mentioned a few times with this series some trepidation because I'm not all that fond of killing gods in media, and particularly given the fact that the Greek gods do not fare all that well in this series at all. But still, I mean, I'm pleasantly surprised though. So, moving on to the other manga I read. Let's start with XxHolic. So, I read 3 volumes of XxHolic by Clamp, the second omnibus volume, which includes volumes 4 through 6. So, XxHolic is a series about a young man named Watanuki, who can see and interact with spirits and whose presence is very attractive to spirits. One day he stumbles upon the shop of Yuko, the space-time witch, who grants wishes for a price. And Watanuki's wish is to be free of being able to see and interact and be attractive to spirits. The price of this wish is that Watanuki must work as a house cleaner and cook and assistant to Yuko for an undetermined amount of time. And so Watanuki finds himself involved in a whole slew of zany adventures, alongside a few classmates who get drawn into his adventures as well. I rather enjoyed these volumes. I am looking forward to more of Clamp. And one thing about Clamp's style, particularly character design, is that they are quite fashionable. Although, I don't know why, but although at some point I thought some of the artwork was a bit basic, but I still liked it. Okay, moving on to Sakamoto Days Volume 16 by Yuto Suzuki. So a few weeks ago I read, binged 5 volumes of Sakamoto Days, volumes 11 to 15. So Sakamoto Days is about a hitman or an assassin named Taro Sakamoto who fell in love and retired from the assassination business to run a convenience store. However, at the beginning of the series, a bounty has been placed on his head, and this forces him to get back into the assassination business to figure out who's put this bounty on his head, and to figure out what the hell's going on with the wider assassination community. Gradually, a number of assassins and others join a growing circle of the Sakamoto family. Most prominently, a young psychic named Shin. This volume begins a major turning point arc in the series. So up to this point, an assassin named Slur has formed a group designed to take out the association that controls assassinations in Japan. And their plan is to enact a massive act of terrorism that will allow them to assassinate the chairman of this group. And they are opposed by a select group of assassins called the Order, who are among Sakamoto's allies. One of the members, Nagumo, is a longtime friend of Sakamoto's. And Sakamoto is seeking to sort of infiltrate this event so that the collateral damage will not be as bad. And it was pretty good. Which, as I mentioned when I read the other 5 volumes, that I was sort of beginning to tire out or burn out. But reading this volume, it was quite a lot of fun. I quite enjoyed it. And there's a new character called Kamahati, who is a shut-in sniper. And he is hilarious. Almost as hilarious as Nagumo is. I also read, on the same day that I read Volume 16 of Sakamoto Days, 2 volumes of Hunter x Hunter by Yoshihiro Togashi, Volumes 2 and 3. Hunter x Hunter is about a young man named Gon who wishes to become a hunter, a sort of adventurer who goes on a number of adventures and to find his father. And in order to become a hunter, he has to take an exam, which these volumes are about. Gon makes a number of friends, including Leorio, Kirapika, Kilua, and a few others. And so they're kind of going through various trials to earn that license. This volume, Volume 2, opens with a fight at the end of the second round, or first round. I think it would be the second round. During the second round, a fight against a candidate called Hisoka. And then it proceeds to a cooking competition for the third round. And then this volume focuses mostly on the fourth round, where they have to work their way down a tower to sort of pass. And then the next round is surviving on an island and taking each other out. So I quite enjoyed these volumes. They were quite fun. And finally, I read 8 volumes of One Piece by Eiichiro Oda, volumes 25 through 32 in these omnibus editions. I did not read volume 33 because I was starting to feel a bit of burnout from One Piece. And the arc that was incoming was going to be one of those bridge arcs between major storylines, which can sometimes be interesting, can sometimes be a bit of filler. So the bulk of this arc is set on a floating island called Skypia that Luffy heard about and wants to go to. So initially they're traveling to the island of Jaya, and while they're there they encounter a ship falling from the sky. And so on Jaya they have encounters with various pirates, and they meet a group who are looking for evidence of a lost civilization. And eventually this group helps Luffy and company and the Straw Hats go to Skypia, which in this instance they use a current that sort of shoots out of the sea periodically. Once there, they encounter a land in conflict and 2 warring factions and a crazy devil fruit user who believes he is a god. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. So One Piece is about Monkey D. Luffy, a young man who aspires to become king of the pirates, and he has built up a crew of friends to help him in this quest. And they go on a whole slew of adventures, wherever Luffy's whims takes them. So that was One Piece. So, what will I be reading this coming reading week? I think I'm going to pass on manga until maybe this coming weekend and instead focus on some history. So I'll probably start with The Golden Road by William Dalrymple. This is about ancient and medieval India. And The Eagle and the Hart by Helen Castor. This is a dual biography of Richard II and Henry IV. So, my booktube plans for this coming week. So, I mentioned the possibility of a book haul today. The books did not come in, despite the emails I got from Barnes & Noble saying that it was. It'll probably come in tomorrow or Monday. When it does, I will do a haul. So don't be surprised if there is a weekend video tomorrow. I also feel the urge to have another go at my weird relationship with what I call classics, canonical, modern, and contemporary fiction, poetry, and drama. I'm still a bit annoyed by the fact that I did not succeed in redeeming A Brief History of Seven Killings, or really settle things with a little more written on the human by Gillian Connolly. And so I'm kind of feeling an urge to really self-examine myself over that, if it works out. Of course, there'll be some tag videos. Hopefully, there will be a rearrangement of my library. I've mentioned a few times that the apartments are supposed to be changing out the electrical outlets. And so I went ahead and sort of cleared those outlets in this room because getting to the outlet at that wall was going to be a pain in the rear end because there would be 3 bookcases in front of it. And I'm not entirely sure if that would work, moving them. So I went ahead and did it. Although I'm not entirely happy about it because, yeah, I actually liked how my library looked at the time. So I'm probably going to redo it how that is. Anyway, although I guess what I could also do is try to figure out if there's a way I can change things up to where the outlets are free and I can get as much space as I want. But anyway, and if there are other discussion videos I would like to make, I'll try to do those as well, even though I don't have all that much success with them. But anyway, BookTube, until I see you next week or tomorrow if the final volumes of Bleach finally arrive, I will be back. So until then, thank you, have a great evening, and enjoy your weekend. See you soon. Bye, BookTube.